Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Second day of the workshop. Today I am gonna start with this. Getting started with Ros2. Finally in English. So. Okay. So starting with this, how is Ros2 different? We need to know what Ros1 is, right? Looks like, but it should be okay. I mean, we don't have to know all the details of Ros1 to learn Ros2. Just try to understand the difference between Ros1 and 2. So as you can see here, I can see user code left and right, and then bottom also user code here. In the middle, I have ROS middleware for ROS1, and then ROS2 also has ROS middleware, but we have ROS2 client library here and here. So that's something new. Network stack is same, right? So we can tell from this comparison. In ROS2, we have now ROS2 client library. Okay. For now, no ROS master. ROS1 we used to have, not ROS1 used to have. Still, ROS1 has ROS core, which is like a central control unit. Everything must be get through. Okay, if ROS, that is why one of the reasons why ROS2 was proposed, because it's vulnerable. Somebody like a ROS1, I mean ROS core crashes, the whole system is not going to work anymore. So, you know, in the robotic community, oh, that's not a good idea. Like, you know, it's basically, other than ROS core, they can run individually. So it doesn't make sense without ROS core. All other, you know, systems is like pretty much crash. So that's a big difference. Now ROS master no more in this ROS2, and then the shared code base CPP Python for us doesn't matter. Okay, we just only thing we have to know here is greater than Python 3.7. I mean 6. Okay. ROS1 still has a strong connection to Python 2.7, which is not going to upgrade anymore. ROS 2.7 is, you can like say Python 2.7. Whenever you start Python, I have Python 2.7.18. It's basically 2.7 is stopped supporting, not going to upgrade anymore. But due to the ROS1 has strong connection to Python 2.7, so we cannot go to 3.6. But now ROS2 supports greater than or equal to 3.6, so it's good news. And then multiple ROS node in a process, Python build requirements. This means ROS1, with ROS1, when we use Python as a node programming language, we don't have to build it, okay? Because Python is a script language. Don't need to be compiled, okay? Script language is basically interpreted line by line. I mean, that makes execution time slow. So there are lots of skills how to like improve that performance. But if
did I actually just flip the whole thing? Yeah.
Yes,
Did
no, that guy popped.
Yeah.
Here, Avery, unplug mine. I think was that the
Too
suspicious plug?
much. Not gonna work.
Are you kidding me?
Alright.
Oh,
Oh, come back.
yeah, maybe just
Yeah, just don't use that end plug.
Shut up.
Okay.
Yeah, or like let someone know maybe. Yeah, now let's start with this. Hopefully I didn't just. Okay, cool. My laptop is alive.
Okay, so continue this. Python build requirement means Ros2, even though you are using Python 3.6, your project must be built. With Ros1, you don't have to rebuild it when you change Python code. Like a C++ code, definitely you have to rebuild it. But Python, with Ros1, you don't have to rebuild it because basically nothing with the Python.
And that makes it slow. Having to rebuild it, not having to rebuild it every time means it goes line by line, which makes it slow.
Again, there are lots of tricks. Since that's line by line slow, so when the Python first run, the Python system will compile and save. Okay, it's like cheating. So every runtime they don't interpret line by line. Okay, so it's okay, but whenever you change the code, and then they check the differences between your current code and then compiled one, they automatically recompile it. But that's not going to be happening in this. Due to that specialty of Python, we didn't need to build. The Ros has a build system. Whenever you change something, you have to rebuild it. But when you change Python code, you don't have to with Ros1. But with Ros2, even though your Python code change it, you have to rebuild it. That's the point of this file, number 5. Okay? So as you can see here, changing Python files in Ros1 doesn't require you to build the project. Ros2 needs you to build the project again. I think it's partially because the symlink stuff, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then action service. Oh, I didn't know that. One not part of Ros1 library. Ros2 core library have action servers. Again, doesn't change anything. Ros1, that was additional library. Ros2 is part of core. Windows support, that's a big change. Officially, Ros1, maybe the latest one supports Windows, but
It does,
yeah, but I don't recommend. Almost always something happening when we try to do something with Windows. So to save your time, don't ever try something other than like Unix based. With some tweaks, you could, be able to. You will be able to run, but yeah, why? We have. Number 8, change it launch infrastructure. Ros1, we used XML based launch file. Do you guys know XML? No? Okay. It's a markup language. Do you know HTML then?
Yeah.
Okay, HTML is like this one. I can show you the source. Develop more tools. Okay. This Google search web page has this source code. Okay. And HTML is a kind of markup language. XML is an extendable markup language. The most generic name of any kind of markup language. Okay. So a markup language means we always start with bracket, something, closing bracket, open bracket, closing bracket. So if you see the code something like this, so maybe it's good to maybe see, but it's really hard to edit. Okay. Thankfully, from Ros2, it starts supporting Python to write this launch. Okay, That's a big change. Okay, then why move to Ros2? Because you guys asked me. Okay. I mean, as you can see, there are lots of new things and more secure. And then, especially you guys like students, when you get a job, maybe a few years later, and then industry will accept this Ros2. Now Ros1 is kind of mainstream. Okay, everything was written pretty much Ros1 based because a lot of supports, bigger community. But after a few years later, obviously, again 2.7 will not be able to. Still, we can do something, but any like a major issue happened, they don't care because hey, we stopped supporting. Okay, so it's a good idea to start, especially for you guys, Ros2. Cool. Any questions? Okay, cool. Ros setup. Ros2 setup. If you go to this link, this is for Galactic. Okay. As far as I know, we use Foxy, right?
We use Galactic here.
Oh, really?
They're
Okay.
more or less the same. It doesn't really matter that much.
So are you gonna use Galactic now? This I was told this is a long-term support. Foxy was not long-term support somehow.
Opposite. So
Opposite?
Foxy is the long-term support.
This
we
is
moved
not?
to Galactic because there are a few issues in the long-term support that weren't fixed in the long-term support. Who knows? So
Okay. One of students few days ago told me Foxy is long-term support, Galactic is not.
that's true.
That's true. Yes.
Oh no, the other way. Foxy is not long-term support. This is long-term support. That's why he said, oh, we want to use this, but not true. Okay. Galactic is long-term
Foxy
support.
is long-term support.
Oh shoot. Okay. Foxy is long-term support. Galactic is not, but you guys want to use this.
Yeah, there's some fixes in the navigation stuff that are in Galactic that
Okay.
we did. So.
Okay. Okay. Then when you go here, Ros2 documentation, Galactic, and installation, there are many options. Installation Ros2 on Ubuntu Linux, building something. Then I strongly recommend do not even try building stuff. Okay. Building means you are building binary from source code. Okay, on your computer. Sometimes, I mean, basically depends on situations, but I don't recommend anything like, because you are building, then something happens, you change it, then your system will be different from any other student, any other systems, okay? So using binary, as long as that works for our project, that's the best option. Also, the easiest way to install, okay? Building, download source code, and then you have to set up all the building tools, and then building, you may have some issues, and try to fix this and that takes a lot of time. So usually when I see multiple options, I always go to just directly installing, okay? Installing Ros2 on Ubuntu Linux. I assume we are using Ubuntu Linux, right? Okay. So system requirements, nothing special. Ubuntu Linux focal, which is 20, which is my version here. So my OS is 20.04.3 LTS. LTS stands for long-term supports. Again, long story short, this means we will support this for a certain amount of time. This was a big issue in Linux community earlier. A lot of different distributions, they do different way and then update in a different ways and different schedule. One time my project was perfectly working. Next week, not working. What happened? They upgraded something and they changed something. So that Ubuntu has that particular idea. Hey, we are going to have a certain version and we will support like at least 2 years. I think 2 years, right?
I think it's 4 years.
4 years? Okay. And then they have they already have the next version. Okay. And start earlier, and then as time goes, we'll see a next version LTS. Okay, but usually the most common Linux version, popular version, good choice is the one less latest version. Okay. So, but Ros2 requires at least 20, so you have to install Ubuntu 20. Okay, and then add to Ros2 apt repository. Apt is basically just a tool. Explain. Okay. It's a high-level command line interface package management system. I was looking for what stands for, but okay, whatever that is. Application package something? I don't know. Maybe what stands for. It's just apt command line. Okay,
It's the
nice.
advanced package.
Advanced package tool. Okay, thank you so much. Meaning you can install or uninstall using this tool. Before 18, we used to have apt-get to install, but from 18, you can use apt-get, but apt is good for apt-get. Okay. So from the command line, when you want to install some application, just like actually that was a good example, right? The OBS, we installed that through this command line. We used the apt. The command line that I used was not here, but we started
I think it's
from
running
there.
it
Yeah,
right
okay.
now.
So I can do the something like sudo apt something or yes. This was the command line when we installed the OBS Studio. Sudo apt install OBS Studio means sudo means okay, Linux is kind of child of Unix system. You guys know Unix? Okay, so basically it's similar, but Unix is for multi-frame, large computer systems. Linux was developed for like individual PC level. It's pretty much started from someone, Linus Torvalds. He wants to use Linux kind of system on PC. Okay, that's the everything was started. Anyway, so basically the Linux or Unix system is a multi-user system. Okay, so one single super user or root, like at the top level of every user. Okay, he has everything. He can like create account, or he can delete account. He can even delete everything. That is called the root, or you may say like a super user. Like when I install this Ubuntu desktop, then this will let me create an account. Okay, user account, one single user account by default. I need to type account name. Then in my case, the Jaerock is a single user here. Okay, but that Jaerock is not super user, because as a regular user, the system wants to protect itself from regular users. Like, let's say I have a two account in the system, and one user wants to delete the other user's document or program. That's not a good idea, right? So they cannot, like, depends on the permissions they see, or they don't see, or they can delete or they cannot delete stuff. All those things will be managed by permissions. Okay. So installation something. When we install, just like the Windows, if you know the Windows, when we install, the program will be under the like C program files, and then something, right? Somewhere. That's a system folder. Usually not a good idea to access directly because people can delete, right? So installing application to your Windows, the Linux or Unix system, they will access to other than your folder. Okay? So accessing other than your folder means, hey, you have to have a special permission. Okay? So every time when we install something, we don't want to like log in with the super user account every time. Sudo means, hey, I just want to use this as a super user. SU do, super user do, as far as I remember. As sudo means super user do. I want to do this command as a super user, temporarily. Then when I use this, then this will ask me a password again. And then as long as the password is right, then start installing. Okay, and then this one will access to other than my user folder. Since we talk about the user folder, this on the home /home /Jaerock, that's my home folder. Okay, this is a root folder. So there's a directory hierarchy in Ubuntu or Linux based system. So always start from / that's the root, and from there I can show you the directory style. I want a visual. Okay. It's like a hierarchical system. From the root, you can create multiple folders inside multiple folders. It's like a nested structure. Okay, so under this root, there are lots of folder and files. I can list with this ls command, or with the ls-l option, means longer version. And these are all the folders under this root folder. Color coded. Blue means folders. Green means a symbolic link. Maybe too many things new. So we can discuss this later whenever we need to discuss. Okay. Okay. Go back to the here. Okay. So installing here. Add the Ros2 apt repository, advanced package 2. Repository means when I type something in this terminal with like a sudo apt, and then I'd like to install something, like let's say I don't think Kwon something, okay? Then this apt needs to know where to find any kind of packages, right? Okay, that is called apt repository. So we can, because we don't know when this Linux was released, so these repositories can be added. Okay, this particular case we are adding
That first one was just checking.
Yeah, not
the purchasing.
okay. Here the sudo add apt repository universe. To make sure that universe is part of apt repository. So when you see this, what you can do is just copy and paste, and then type that command here. If you use the mouse, 3-button mouse, center is paste, so see. Okay. Anything you mark on your system, it can be website, it can be a document, anywhere. When you mark, and then just press the center button, that will be paste. You don't even need to copy. Okay. Just mark and then press the center. So if I type, I see 500 something something something. Okay, we don't need to know every single detail, but I just want to say this vertical sign. This vertical, okay, that is called pipe in Unix-based systems. Pipe, what is pipe? Connecting, right? So this apt cache policy is a command, and grab universe is also command. They are connecting through this vertical, which is pipe. So what happens here is, if I do apt cache policy, there are many lines. Okay, I'd like to search text. Grab is a tool. Okay, grab is a tool to search text. So what I did here, grab and universe, universe, meaning from the output of this first command, I'd like to search this universe text. Okay, and then I see only these lines that have universe text. This is piping. Okay, so just understand what this is. So I did apt cache policy and then pipe. So basically you can consider Unix systems a big collection of small tools. As a user, we can coordinate all those small tools put together. Like nobody says you gotta use this, in order to do this. If you have an idea, okay, this is what I need to do, then you can combine through this pipe or some other way. Okay, that's just like a philosophy of Unix operating system. Okay, the next one is again sudo apt install, meaning give me a temporary super user permission to install this software properties common package. So again, assuming I don't have a Ubuntu installed, just do this and then see, ask password. Since I already installed, it says, okay, these are all the packages installed, no longer required. And then 0 upgraded, 0 newly installed, 0 removed, and then 183 not upgraded. So if you don't see any progress bar after this apt install, that means you already have that, so you don't have to install. It doesn't need to be installed. And then sudo add repository universe again. These repositories can be actually found here as well, software. This is part of system setting. So here, So see here http packages osr foundation.org Gazebo Ubuntu stable focal. Thanks to all these like list, obviously checked list, my APT can find these packages. So universe, let me try. See, universe distribution component is already enabled for all sources. So I already have this. And then now add the Ros2 APT repository to your system. First authorize our GPG key with APT. See sudo APT. Now update. Double ampersand means it's a sequential command. Do this. Unlike the pipe, the first one doesn't affect the second one. Just do this and do this. If you want to run multiple commands, you can connect those commands with this ampersand, double ampersand. So do this and then do this. Okay? So I can do this line. So after the APT update, and then start APT install call GNUPG. I already have those, so it doesn't install anything. And then here sudo call and -sl. Again, initially don't try to understand every single detail. Just try to understand what's happening. Okay, call is also just a tool. Okay. Unix or Ubuntu tool. The command line to transfer data to or from a server. It's basically downloading file from somewhere internet. Okay. So what it does is go there and then copy this ros.key. Let's do this again. Just do it. Enter. And then add the repository to your source list. Okay, this line equal and something. Again, this is a thanks to the Ubuntu or Linux-based operating system. Let me explain a little bit here. So equal means I'd like to print out whatever that is followed to the screen. Okay, that means dev and arc $, this and this and $, source etc os, and then two and sign, meaning again do this, and then this is separate line of instruction equal, and then Ubuntu code name main blah 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 blah. Okay, and then again pipe and greater than sign, that means redirect. We say, I'm gonna show you a simple example of redirection. See, if I do the ls command, I see that text. Okay, I can redirect the output to a file. Then I don't see that, but this one will be at here. Okay, this is a redirection happening from this. Okay, So the last part is for that one. And another thing is like here $sign Ubuntu code name. $sign Ubuntu code name. We don't have that one. So what I'm trying to show you here is we need to know the concept of environment variables. Environment variables are variables that have some particular values. For example, my system has like a special system. I have a computer name, like device name is Predator, right? Some other guys have different name, right? If I use this particular name in my code, this code will not be running other than Predator, right? So when you need this, for example, just an example, Predator, instead of using that Predator directly, you can use a environmental variable. Then the environmental variable will be different from system to system. Then your code will be, run any.
So if you use like the node versus like the system 76, if you use the name of it, it would be something different on either of those.
Yeah, like for example, Ros version here. Okay. Do you remember the Ros?
I haven't used that in Ros2, unfortunately.
Okay. What's that, like a Ros village or something? Okay, let me see. Yeah, Ros distro. Yes. Ros distro. So Foxy. Okay. If you wanna get something using this on the Foxy, if you use Foxy, that is if you don't see that Foxy in your system, it's not gonna run. But if you use Fox, instead of Foxy, you use the $sign Ros distro. That will be replaced with your Ros version. Okay.
Whether that's galactic or.
Yes.
Okay.
My system
Versus
have
Foxy
Foxy.
versus
Yes.
galactic.
Exactly. That's a good example. I have Foxy, Galactic. If I use this Foxy in my code, it's not going to work on Galactic. But if I use this environmental variable, then that will be safe. Okay? Because that will be replaced with your Ros
Just based
distro
in
name.
that specific environment, not your computer, which is based in Foxy.
In my system, that will be Foxy, obviously.
Mhm.
But the code that I write, I hope this will be running other than Foxy. Then instead of Foxy text in my
Mhm.
program, I can use this $Ros distro. Then this will be running on
That's a separate
Galactic.
environment, is what
Yes.
you're saying? Okay.
This $sign something, that's the what I call like a environmental variables.
Variable, okay.
Okay. So there are lots of environmental variables here, like a $sign code name, which was nothing here in my system. And then echo. Okay, I'm gonna do this echo stuff. Then enter, and I see nothing because that makes for example, without this, I see something, right? The last redirect to the device null means, okay, I don't want to see anything. In Unix or Linux system, everything can be considered as file, even like your input or your output. Okay, that is why I say ls, and greater than equals greater than sign with a text file name. Output goes to the text file. If you want to read something from a text, you can use less than sign, then the text file will be streaming to this program. Okay? So here, if you don't want to see something from this even equal, you can put this, then that doesn't show me anything, but without this, I see something. Okay? Anyway, that's just a few concepts of like, but what it does is basically add this repository to my source list, so that later, if I use the APT, it will search these Ros2 related repositories. Okay? So that's it. That's for just a setting environment to get Ros2 download. Okay, the downloading Ros2 release page. Ros2 release. Foxy 2, Foxy, and Foxy. Here source code. These are all Foxys. But I don't want to see. No, it's the. Okay. So this is a GitHub. Have you used GitHub? No, okay, little bit. This is basically a repository for code, and I see these are all released. I can find. Okay, Galactic. Which one should I get? Do we have a Galactic here? Okay. Is this one you guys installed? Okay.
I don't think Galactic has patches because it's not an LTS. So it's just an add patch one.
Okay. So anyway, if you go to individual section like Galactic or Foxy, the patch release 5 says for runtime dependencies installation. Additionally, there are Debian packages for Ubuntu 4 core. Ubuntu 20 code name is 4 core, so which means okay, this is important to understand what this sentence means. Additionally, there are Debian packages for Ubuntu 4 core, meaning you don't have like a download and then install manually. Debian package meaning yes. Okay. So sudo apt install Ros Foxy desktop. It includes everything. So, but Galactic you cannot install this way, right? You have to.
You can do it that way too.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
says
you
you
do
can't.
both.
Okay, cool.
You're just on the Foxy tab right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That's a good example. Like, see, sudo apt install Ros instead of Foxy. What you can do is Ros distro and desktop. Okay. In my case, I have everything already. So, but this one. See? Rossi, I mean Ros-Boxy desktop. Okay, anyway, so all you have to do is just sudo apt install ros $ ros distro desktop. It will install. No, that doesn't make sense because I have already, so that's why I have this variable. But if your system doesn't have this, you can. Okay, so back to here, galactic, meaning you have to just do the sudo apt install. But it was a good example for showing the environmental variable. So Ros galactic, see, desktop. Also if you are new to Linux or Windows, I mean the Linux or Ubuntu, the tab is autocomplete. So like if a gal and then tab autocomplete and desk des auto, if there's only more than one options, you have to double tap. Then it shows me all the options and say, okay, demo, node, depth, and desktop. So if I put S and then tap, autocomplete. Okay, so I'm not gonna install this one because I already have the Foxy. Cool. So you don't have to like do this. Download this bz2 file and unzip it, and then tar means basically unzip or zip utility. Don't worry about this. You can always use this file. It's just like a file explorer in Windows. You can unzip it, anything. Anyway, that is something. Okay, Ros define. Yes, okay. After getting that Ros galactic desktop, and again, since this is recording, you don't have to download, okay? Because Debian package is there, so just you can type Ros sudo apt Ros galactic desktop. Then
So once you have the repository, just do the debian thing.
yeah, much easier. I mean, this one. So that's why whenever you see a packages, try that first.
Okay, I see.
Okay, then you don't have to build it. And after building, we have to install a few more packages, Ros dependency package. And after installing successful, again, it doesn't say anything specifically, but every line is a command line. So to do something that, you have to do sudo apt install -y means it will ask, are you sure? -y means I always give yes. Okay, you get it?
So like permissions questions or something?
Yeah, like if I do Ros dev install, if yes, what? Oops. In author. Okay. Ask, do you want to continue? Yes. Okay. Instead of typing yes over and over again, sometimes you need to answer many times. Then this can be an option. -y. Hey, all yeses. Then Ros dependency, in my case, already installed again. Then sudo Ros deep and init.
I think you have to source Ros again.
Yeah, I need to source, right?
You actually might not have Ros though, because it was going to install something there.
Yeah, okay. And then installing missing dependencies, meaning something, I don't know what this is specifically, but maybe Cyclone, some other packages.
That's the network layer that they mentioned adding in Ros2. That's installing that.
Oh, okay, okay. This is not part of desktop.
I thought it was. I guess it's not.
No, Cyclone should be part of desktop. That's like the ROS middle layer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's installing the. Yes, that's installing the ROS like interface to those, because that's going through ROS steps. So it's going to the ROS repositories for those.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, the for the beginners, just follow steps. Don't miss anything in between. And yeah, and then you will get into here. This is a Python 3 libraries.
For that, do we also have to like install Python onto the computer as well, or is that? You know what I mean? Or is the step? What does that do? I guess is what I'm asking. Like, do I also need to install Python?
Python is already installed.
It's just part of it already. Okay.
Yes, Python is part of your system, right?
I think it came with Linux.
It does.
It
Yeah,
does,
it
yeah.
comes with that.
Yeah, you could do this Python or Python 2, Python 3. You can type, then you have Python already. This one install like a PIP. PIP is not part of default system, so you have to install PIP. PIP is another package management system. So some system needs to use the PIP. So this one installed PIP. Okay. Yep. Then that's it. Okay. What time? 7. Okay. The environment setup, which means a lot of beginners are wondering what this is about. See, this is the galactic. This doesn't work if you use the Debian, because this assume that you installed your Ros2 Galactic from the binary, right? I can tell because it's Ros2 underscore
Oh, that's,
Galactic.
yeah, you're in the building from source guide, I think.
Yeah, okay, so what you really need to do is my ROS is installed under the, is it opt, right?
Yeah.
It's ROS, and then your distro.
Okay, under okay, Debian package. If you install ROS through Debian package, your ROS will be installed under this opt ROS and then Galactic. In my case, Foxy. Okay. So this Galactic document.
If you click on on the side there at the top, installing Ros2 DB packages, that's the one you want. So underneath, installing Ros2 on Ubuntu Linux.
Oh yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good job of
Yeah,
specifying
thank
which
you so much.
systems.
So I just want to make sure one more time, when you see multiple options, try to find Debian packages. The Debian means there are many different distributions for Unix-like systems. Debian is one of those. I think Mac OS is based upon Debian, right?
macOS is like a Unix core. It's kind of its own thing.
I know, but Mac OS 10, Unix. I'd like to remember their base package.
Like how you can install packages on Mac. I
Uh,
usually just use like homebrew.
yeah. I mean, that's the package management system. Yeah, I'm trying to just remember. Debian. See, I mean, obviously Debian is not a particular Ubuntu or some, I mean, the Ubuntu, right? But Debian package means, when they refer to Debian package, means I can install through apt, right?
Why would you choose to do a Debian versus like a source-based install? Like, what's the difference? Why would you choose one over the other?
Because the distribution managers, if you download from a website binary and build it, nobody cares. Maybe the developers only care what's going on, but when they have binary into a for example Debian package, meaning they pretty much sure this is gonna work on this particular Linux distribution. It's kind of, it's not commercial software, so it cannot be said like, tested for commercialization or something. But at least when they put those binaries into their repository, that means, yeah, this is kind of reliable. It's gonna work, okay? So when
So it's kind of like the next step past like the source, which you can kind of do whatever you want.
and also this binary, you don't have source code, so you cannot change anything,
Oh, I see.
okay? But if you need to change anything, then maybe we can wait until the next release. But again, like it's completely our choice. I mean, we can start with any like a development, stage, distribution or release, and just changing actively. Who cares? We can do it. But the official release on the repository, that means we can consider they are pretty much tested with many things. I think we can say that, right?
Generally, for our purpose, if you're using source, it's probably because you're editing the code, or we're trying to run some version that there just isn't a binary for. Generally, if we're using something like ROS itself, we don't want to deal with the hassle of trying to get it to build properly because we're not changing it ever.
Oh,
So
okay.
binaries are just saving a ton of
So
time.
for our purpose,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah. So we try and use Debian where possible, but there is you'll see actually in our code, we do build some things from source just because we've had to make a fix here and there, and
why? Like, what's an
just
example
there's
of that?
like we find some weird edge case bug that we hit that isn't fixed in the main code base yet.
Okay.
So the binary wouldn't have that fixed because only ISC has made that fix.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the after installing this source, okay, you said you could go this way, then we have better thing here. Yes, that's what I meant. Okay, set up your environment by sourcing the file. Source opt ros galactic setup.bash. Bash is a shell script. Shell script. Okay, this is a shell script. We don't again know the detail, but what it does is it set up the Ros2 environment. So whenever you want to do something with Ros2, you always start with this source opt Ros2 galactic setup.bash. Every time you start the terminal, so usually we don't want to do manually every time. So what we do usually is we change the almost there.
It's tilde /
No. Oops. Dash RC, right?
It's tilde /
Yeah, it's tilde / dot dash RC, correct?
This is my current folder, so
You can just do dot dash RC.
Yeah.
It's a hidden file, so
No, yeah, dot.
dot dash, yes, dot dash.
it doesn't autocomplete. So.
Yeah, okay. So what we usually do is we add this line, source opt rows foxy setup.bash in the .bash file, because .bash file is a script that is automatically run every time I start this terminal. So everything is running here. Oops. So even like this color coded, they are set inside this bash RC. Okay, so default bash RC we use, so don't worry about. But we don't want to do this every time, so that we copy this and paste into this .bash RC, the last line of this bash RC. Okay, so in my case, I already did this, and what source means, it runs this shell script inside this shell. Okay. Is it like if I do, but I mean, I just can say, if I, instead of like a source, if I do opt rows foxy and set up opt rows foxy setup.bash.
The VIM is what allowed you to change it to just that end part, the bash dash, or the dot dash RC.
Vim is just a text editor that runs in the terminal. So what
Right.
he did is he was just text editing a file, and what that did is every time you open a new terminal, it'll run source that script, and source just runs that script. So basically, all you're doing is you're running the setup script every time you open a terminal.
Okay.
Okay, you can run script using this bash command, but the difference, I just want to explain that source mean. Okay, if you do the bash and then run, then it starts internally a new terminal and then run it and ends. So that's nothing to do with my current terminal. Okay, but source will run this bash in this terminal, so that if I set a new environmental variable inside that bash, then that will stay here. Okay, that is why we do the source. And also, instead of a source, you can use a dot, same thing. So opt rows foxy setup dot bash. Okay, if you don't do this, you cannot use Ros2, because all the environmental setup will be done by this setup.bash. So this is mandatory. Okay, then I can try something. We do this already, and then Ros2 run demo nose cpp talker. Then this talker is publishing a message, hello world and number. And I can start a new terminal. And since my .bash RC has source opt ros foxy setup.bash, so I don't need to type that one, ros demo nodes. If you do tab and you don't see anything, that means you didn't set up the setup.bash. You didn't source setup.bash. Okay? So Ros2 node pi and then listener. The right side is written in C++ and publishing hello world and number. Then left side written in Python and then subscribing that topic and getting that message. I can tell. Is it same as like this? Yes. Topic list means I can echo see the publisher, this guy publishing this hello world and number, and this subscriber can get this message. How they communicate each other? Through ROS. Okay, ROS will be able to like communicate two different ROS nodes. Okay, yeah, then the next step after installing tutorial demos, we will get back to, we just complete this Ros2 install, and yes, we've done this already. So we are done this part 1. So next week we can start from this part 2. Creating Docker listener, custom Docker listener package. Okay, what do you think?
I think for me that was
Understandable?
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, we don't know Ros1. I mean, you guys, so.
But for me, like, I did very basic research on Ros1, and then coming in here and you saying that, it
Okay.
made a lot of sense.
Cool. Yeah. That's it for today then.